Hi, folks. This is Toby, and it is Wednesday, August 25th, and I'm on the Hudson River, and this is Toby Talk number 24. And I had a pretty rough day today, and it got me thinking about what I think is going to be the topic for our brief message for you tonight, which is how do you know when it, whatever it is real? A lot of times I think when we're trying to decide how we want to participate in the opportunities and challenges of our lives, whether they're friendships or relationships or jobs or anything, we try to understand or try to decide whether what we're experiencing or what we're hearing or what we're seeing is real, whether it's authentic, whether it is true, whether it's honest. And some of us are better at discerning that than others. Some of us are better at discerning it in one part of our lives than in other parts of our lives. We sometimes are better at making sort of smart decisions in the workplace than we are at home or with family and friends or in relationships or even something like buying a car. And that's why I think it's important to listen to the advice and the experiences of others who have traveled the roads that you're currently embarking upon, to see what were some of the tools or some of the insights or wisdoms that worked for them. However, I also want us to realize and think about it, this question of how do I know when it's real, from a different perspective, which is from the perspective of just kind of energy. And I say that because most of the things that show up in our lives, particularly in a form that moves, bring with it, move because of the energy that they harness or that they possess, whether it's a friendship or anything. And what I'm finding and what I'm thinking particularly about a conversation I had earlier today, we often don't do is think about what is the charge of the energy that we're experiencing. And by charge, there can only really be two charges when we're talking about energy, either a positive charge or a negative charge. And so when you look at the overwhelming impact of the things that you're committed to or the things that shape or force or influence your life and your decision making, that determine your leadership, whether it's personal or professional, trying to get a sense of what are the positives and negatives of that equation is a really good place to start to begin to determine what is real. I don't know if that's making sense, but this notion of real or realness means that this relationship, when it, or this equation or this decision, when it's combined with your own energy, the positives and negatives that make up your whole, your wholeness, come into play. That they actually move you and the other force that you've engaged with in ideally a positive direction. So, let's just deal with it from the perspective of relationships. When I think about people who always are creating their ideal list of their ideal mates or their ideal spouses, and they write all of those positives down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they go out and they look for someone who holds all of those items. And when they're presenting themselves as that potential ideal mate, they tend to do the same thing. But they don't focus on the negatives, and it's often the negatives that trip you up. And likewise, when you look at a person who you have a challenge with or a struggle with, you're only able to look at the negative charges, the ones that they cause or affect in you, and also the ones that you observe and experiencing in them. And we're not able to really pay attention to the positives that may live in that equation as well. The truth of the matter is, if you really want to know what's real, you have to be able to see both the positive and the negative, in any interaction, in any decision, and in any relationship. And learning how to do that takes time, and it takes intentionality. We are just as drawn to the negative things and the negative influences and the negative charges that we experience in our relationships as we are the positive ones, because they set the narrative that we want to hold for ourselves and for others. So a lot of people prefer to always see the glass as half empty than half full. And those are people who actually are paying particular attention to the negative charges between themselves and the world. And likewise, the optimists among us, of which I tend to be one, tend to see the glass as half full as opposed to half empty. And those people tend to look at the positive charges that live in themselves and in the relationships. Neither of those equations gives us the total story. Neither one tells us what's real. And what's real is first to remember that we're all energy, that we're all engaging with each other, and that when we are able to go into any experience, any decision, or any relationship fully as much aware and constantly in conversation and transparency about the positives and the negatives that we're experiencing, then we're able to get a real sense of what is or is not happening, a real sense around the depth or the capacity of a situation or a person or an environment to provide what you want and to return what you're willing to offer. So that's it. We're all energy, both positive and negative. What we pay attention to determines what we feel is real and ultimately what we will invest in moving forward. That's all I have for you tonight. Hope you guys had a great day. It's the middle of the week. I don't know about you, but I'm a little tired. So take care. Love you much. And I'll talk to you Friday. Bye-bye.